Gen Z and millennials are leading the big quit in 2023.
So there was the Great Resignation. Now there's the Big Quit.
Yeah,
who's coming up with these, Ken?
Well, it's headline writers, it's people on social media. I mean, come on.
Do I get to come up with one at this point? I feel like it's my turn.
You know what? Why not?
Might
Join
as
the
well.
party. Every day is now a thing. It's a day. National Chip Day, National Best Friend Day, National Small Dog Day. It never ends. It's just enough. It's too much. I went on my Instagram account today, at Ken Coleman, and I just looked at the camera and said, look, if I hear quiet quitting one more time, I'm going to go headbutt an 18-wheeler. I can't do it anymore.
It was like during COVID. It was unprecedented.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, you got to pivot.
Yeah. All right. Boy, you really do pay attention to everything Dave says.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, those are Dave's lines. You stole those.
There's no stealing here. We're all family.
Oh, okay.
It's like the Olive Garden, Ken.
All right. So now, why are we talking about this headline? This is a CNBC article that I'm pulling from because this affects you all. Some of you are in this mindset. More than half of U.S. workers, the number is actually 61%, are considering leaving their jobs in 2023. This is from a new LinkedIn study. Now, it was interesting, George, that the higher percentage or the highest percentage of Gen Z workers are planning to call it quits. So of all of the generations, Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Boomers, it was Gen Z planning to call it quits. Now, the Millennials got beat up a lot, your generation, about switching jobs on a regular basis. Many Millennials, this data is probably about 8 years old, but at that time, Millennials were thinking, I'm going to stay about a year on the job and then move on. But this is what's interesting. Gen Zers, according to Karen Kimbrough, the chief economist at LinkedIn, they're more passionate about finding a job that aligns with their personal values. And they're confident that switching jobs will help them get there. So the main reasons that Gen Zers and Millennials are considering switching jobs hasn't changed, with higher comp, improved work-life balance, opportunities for career growth, and flexible work arrangements all ranking as top priorities. So again, nothing new here. You could say the same about Millennials. What is different is that there is a sizable shift from the older Gen Xers and the Boomers to the Millennials and the Gen Zers. And it is, you know what? I want to do something that I connect to. It's very personal. And I like that because that's helping people get in line with what I'm trying to teach, is that there is purpose in work beyond a paycheck. And this younger generation does long for a connection in their work. And I think that is a good thing, except that if you make it all about, well, I'm only going to work for a company that is very open about their political views aligning with mine, that can get to a point where it's like trying to find a perfect church. Good luck.
That church shopping can be brutal here in Nashville.
Yeah,
so
thoughts on that? You are a millennial.
Well, I think there's been a cultural shift. You see, my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, it was survival. It was get an education so you can get a good, stable job, so you can get a pension, and things have shifted. We are now in a society that wants to thrive. And so they're going, I actually want to enjoy the work I do because I saw my parents go to work for that paycheck and they hated that job.
Yeah.
And so they're going, oh, we don't have to do that? And so I like this mentality of let me go find that thing. What I don't like is the anti-work group who are saying, I don't think we should have to work at all as a society. This is terrible. I love it when they go, this ain't it. Let me go figure out what is.
Now, the only risk here, and this is why we highlight this. So if you're a Gen Zer, a parent of a Gen Zer, understand these people are just looking up. They're paying attention to the environment. And since the middle, or let's call it third quarter of 2020, when this thing called the Great Resignation happened, if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. But we've had 4+ million people each month for 18 consecutive months. This is the latest job numbers out of November of 2022. Folks, that is a staggering amount of people that are quitting their jobs. So for those of you that are as old as me or older, you understand what musical chairs was. A fun game that George has no idea what it is. So that's what the job market looks like. And these young people are looking up and they're going, hey, I see my friend move over here and they got an 8% bump or a 12% bump or whatever. And so now it's just like, okay, now we're just going until the music stops. The question is, when does the music stop? And with a recession looming this year, how bad it is, I don't know. I tend to be less alarmist. I don't think it's going to be big and bad, but we'll see. And so the point here is that our money principles, what we teach here, is that, hey, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to stay because moving for a bigger paycheck may come back to bite you if it's an awful environment or you're actually not qualified to do the job or they lied to you. And now all of a sudden you're in a situation where, I may have to make another move and I'm putting my financial stability at risk. There's no reason for that. And so that's why budgeting, the baby steps can get you some more patience.
Oh, yeah. Having a
some more
financial foundation,
perseverance.
it helps you slow down and make better decisions.
Yeah. All right. Now, let's go into another thing that's very distressing for this young generation. America needs carpenters and plumbers and more people in the trades. And employers are having a hard time. They got the need, but they're having a hard time finding them. Why? Well, the application rate for young people seeking technical jobs like plumbing, building, electrical work, George, has dropped by 49% in 2022 compared to 2020.
That's only 2 years.
That's a massive drop. Now, I'm going to tell you, some of you going, Ken, why in the world are you talking about plumbers and electricians? Because you want to know what makes a healthy economy? A strong housing industry. You can't have a strong housing industry if you don't have carpenters, plumbers, and electricians. If you all are going to sleep on this and you think, it doesn't matter, you're wrong. Now, these positions continue to grow. The need is there, but students applying for them is dropping. Here's a statement from a spokesperson at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. For a long time, our society has not talked favorably about the skilled trades. They're right. We've instead encouraged students to go to college. All of them go to four-year institutions, graduate, and go into white-collar jobs. Now, let me just throw something out here, George. It's going to feel a little negative, but sometimes I just have to tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Remote work and hybrid work is the biggest threat to white-collar jobs that we've ever seen. Do you know why? Thank you for asking. Because it's not long before companies will start to go, wait a second, you want to make 120 or 150 to sit at home and work, or work a couple days a week in the office, and I can hire somebody in India for 60 to do it. I'm going to let that sit for a second. If you think I'm this soothsayer of negativity, I'm not. I'm telling you, companies are doing studies on this now, and it is going to be a wake-up call, and it might be 6 months around the corner if we hit a serious recession. Companies start going, I'm going to offshore your job. Now, I'm not anti-remote work. Some people, I make comments like, no, I'm not. I'm just telling you, it is a risk.
Well, is there a higher chance of being laid off
Yes.
if you're a remote worker? Are we
Yes.
seeing that in the data?
Yes, absolutely. Out of sight, out of mind. They're going to lay you off, especially if they're trying to pressure you to come back in. Again, I don't want to get off track here, but I'm just pointing out that the trades, folks, we've got this marketing message that's been shoved down our throats that the only way to be successful is to get a college degree, and yet we're seeing the data that degrees are becoming less and less relevant. At Building Wealth, I told you it's my 2023 trend of the year, and big-time companies are removing the requirement for degree. And yet we've got trades jobs where a kid can go to a trade school right out of high school for next to nothing and come out making 50, 60 grand, do that for 2 or 3 years, keep moving up financially, George, and then start their own business and create jobs.
It's half of the time at a tenth of the cost, and you're making more on the other end.
Yes, in other words, it's capitalism. So you know what the real issue is, you parents out there? For your kid who doesn't want to darken the door of a college because that's not how they're wired, why don't you get over yourself and realize that it's about their success, not your status.
Ooh.
Get over it.
That'll preach.